And now we turn to the fourth speaker for the opposition here tonight, Councillor Áine Groogan. Thank you.
Thank you, President, and thank you for the invitation to participate in this debate this evening. I'm speaking tonight in firm opposition to this motion. Decriminalisation of abortion in Northern Ireland just over a year ago was long overdue. The only thing that is regrettable about the situation is how long we had to wait. For too long, women and pregnant people in Northern Ireland, although part of the UK, were criminalised for seeking an abortion. Until June 2017, although paying our taxes like our sisters in England, Scotland and Wales, if we travelled within the UK to have an abortion, we could not do so on the NHS. It did not matter if the reason we needed an abortion was because of rape, incest, fetal abnormality, or that we simply could not and did not want to be pregnant. The law was so strict here that even in the handful of cases that fell within the exception, an abortion was denied because of the chilling effect on medical practitioners here. We were an anomaly, a problem that was ignored by the government at Westminster and in Northern Ireland for too long. We have a right to equality before the law too. Confession time. I was raised Catholic. I attended a Catholic maintained primary and grammar school, and to be honest, the most sex education we received was an embarrassed biology teacher pointing to a diagram of a vagina in a textbook, and of course the standard abstinence doctrine that was lectured at us. Somehow, despite that, by the time I got to university, I was very firmly pro-choice. Look, I did wrestle with it as a teenager. Catholic guilt definitely got into my head, and I did float around the teachings we received in school that abortion was wrong. But then life happened. I saw the reality of what happened when anti-choice positions were enshrined in law. It didn't matter what I, or anyone else for that matter, personally thought about making that choice. What we would do in that position. What mattered was ensuring that women and pregnant people were supported, were able to receive safe, free and timely access to reproductive health care. Anything else meant women suffered. Criminalising abortion did not stop abortions. Restricting access did not stop abortions. You either forced a woman to continue a pregnancy she did not want to continue, or you forced her on a boat. You either gave her options or gave her none, irrespective of her own circumstances. You either had laws that were compassionate, or you put women's health and lives at risk. I trusted women then, and I still do. I got involved with pro-choice activism while doing my undergraduate degree in Trinity in Dublin. I attended rallies and protests and was part of the campaign team that won the referendum to make Trinity a pro-choice student union, something I know Queen's Student Union also has as a position. I continued this activism when I moved to Belfast for my master's degree in gender, conflict and human rights. My dissertation looked at how the Northern Irish political conflict affected women's reproductive rights. For me, the legal situation in Northern Ireland on abortion didn't happen by accident. Women's rights in Northern Ireland were, and indeed continue to be, detrimentally impacted by the holy trinity of nationalism, hypermasculinity and religion, which operates together to create a dominant, moral, conservative socio-political culture that was accepted by, adopted by and institutionalised by the political structures here. Is it any wonder it took an English MP to step in and ensure that the UK were compliant with their international human rights obligations in Northern Ireland? I began working in 2017 for Claire Bailey, Green Party MLA for South Belfast, and joined the party at the same time. Reproductive rights and LGBTQ rights were the two main issues for me politically, and to be honest, not much has changed. I couldn't have joined any other party. We were the first to bring forward a motion of equal marriage to the Assembly. We supported decriminalisation long before it was on the political agenda, and Claire was a source of personal political inspiration for me. She's currently working on a private member's bill to introduce buffer zones around reproductive healthcare centres, an issue she has first-hand experience of after working as an escort at Mary Stopes. I've also been working as a counsellor to seek regulation of graphic anti-choice imagery that is employed by some groups around Belfast. You have a right to your opinion, you have a right to protest, and a right to advocate publicly for your viewpoint. But I do not see how harassing women and seeking to traumatise and re-traumatise women and children with imagery of questionable validity is a right. If you claim to care for women, please do better to challenge those in your own community who cross those lines. 1 in 3 women have had an abortion. Someone you love has had an abortion. Someone you love will have an abortion. When you stand and moralise about abortion, you should remember that this is not a hypothetical debate about ethics or morals. The words you say will hit someone you love like a gut punch. You're standing in judgment, even though you may claim not to be, but your words say differently, of the thousands of women who have an abortion. You're standing criticising a woman who made a choice based on their own lives, their own families, their own health. How dare you think you know what is right for that person? They do not need your judgment, they need your support. Honestly, I find it personally reprehensible that some still feel justified in imposing their own views on abortion on others. You're entirely entitled to hold your own view based on your beliefs. You're not entitled to hold others to the same. It is one thing to believe you would not choose to terminate a pregnancy, but it's something else entirely to believe that just because you wouldn't do so, no one else should be allowed to terminate a pregnancy, and indeed should be criminally sanctioned for doing so. Because that's, folks, that is what those here tonight arguing that decriminalised abortion is regrettable are saying. Don't let them fool you with claims to care both for the woman and the unborn. They believe that women should be jailed, that doctors should be jailed. A decision to terminate a pregnancy is between a woman and the medical professionals that care for her. It is highly inappropriate in the 21st century for abortion provision to be governed by criminal law rather than healthcare regulations. And thankfully, I do believe that the majority of people in Northern Ireland agree. Opinion poll after opinion poll here has shown over the years that people did not agree with their laws. As is so often the case, the people in Northern Ireland were ahead of our politicians. For example, the Northern Ireland Life and Times survey in 2016 showed that 71% supported abortion to be treated as a healthcare issue rather than a criminal one. I have no doubt that a series of damning headlines as a result of restrictive abortion laws and concerted activism by Alliance for Choice and others contributed to the groundswell of public opinion around this issue. Remember Savita. The tragic death of Savita Halpinavar in a Galway hospital in 2012 after being told this was a Catholic country as her life slipped away awoke so many across these aisles to the brutal reality of our abortion laws. So many mistakenly believed that you could access an abortion if your life was in danger here, even if you had been raped or there was a fetal abnormality. Many who considered themselves pro-life and in support of the laws did not even believe this position. But that was the facts. We've already mentioned Sarah Uritt tonight, another name that's familiar and a story that's familiar to all of us. Sarah was told that there was no prospect of her child surviving, and she faced the likelihood of a very traumatic birth. She was forced to leave the love and care of her family and friends behind to travel to England to end the pregnancy, as she was left with no choice here in Northern Ireland but to continue it. This was inhumane. April 2016, a woman in Northern Ireland was given a suspended sentence under legislation that was older than the light bulb for taking abortion pills she ordered online. Horrifyingly, it was her housemates that reported her to the police. International Women's Day 2017. Pro-choice activists across Northern Ireland saw their homes and workplaces raided by the PSNI. Many of us were at Belfast City Hall, a place I am pleased to say I'm now elected to as a proud pro-choice woman, listening to Angela Davis at the precise moment the police chose to act. The irony is not lost to me. Interesting timing, to say the least. Just last year, prosecution of a woman for procuring abortion pills for her 15-year-old daughter was ongoing until finally the law was amended and the case was dropped. This is just a handful of stories and headlines. There are many, many more people behind these stories. Criminalisation was not just a vague threat for us, but, and this is the crucial bit, it did not deter. Women and pregnant people need access to abortion. They always have, and they always will. 28 women a week travel to the rest of the UK. Many more access safe abortion pills online. All criminalisation did was export the problem. It drove it underground and it added to the shame and stigma that surrounded this issue. I know someone listening to this has had an abortion or may face a crisis pregnancy in the future. Please do not feel ashamed. There is help and support available to you legally and safely. You are what matters in this, not any of us sitting here preaching on one side or the other. Reach out to the likes of Informing Choices for counselling either pre or post-crisis pregnancies. If you do choose to have an abortion and you don't know where to turn, contact Alliance for Choice and someone will be there to guide you. Of course, access to abortion is only one element of reproductive justice. I would like to see more on the proponent's side tonight, fighting quite so hard for things like subsidised childcare, for adequate and supportive prenatal and antenatal care, for full paid maternal and paternal leave, for appropriate and comprehensive relationship and sex education for all young people, for better access to free contraception, for a welfare system that supported rather than punished people for having children, particularly single mothers. Some want to force women to give birth, but the care after that, it remains to be seen. Abortion was decriminalised on the 21st of October 2019, meaning that women, pregnant people and their healthcare providers will no longer be subject to archaic criminal sanctions. We still have some way to go to ensure adequate access is provided across the region. But rest assured, activists will not stop until every woman and pregnant person has access to free, safe, local and legal abortion if and when they need it. Abortion is healthcare. It is not a crime. Please remember that that is what this motion is saying. I should not be criminalised for seeking access to abortion services. My doctor should not be criminalised for providing me with my healthcare options. And I will not wait any longer for human rights compliant legislation. I urge you to vote against this motion tonight. Thank you.